Is your remote job spying on you and tracking your behavior every second of the day? One of our clients who recently quit her toxic job sent us this crazy video showing how her former employer was essentially spying on remote workers. The crazy thing is, this was just on CBS News, like it's just no big deal and just part of the new normal. In this video, I'm going to be sharing the video that our client sent us and reacting with you live. Hi, I'm Justin Keltner, and welcome to Entrepreneur Expat. On this channel, we talk about global citizenship, living overseas, full-time travel, and making money online so you can go anywhere. If that's something you're interested in, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. And go ahead and give this video a like because it helps us with our mission of creating a community of over 1 million entrepreneur expats and aspiring expats. And if you'd like to go deeper into what the alternatives are to these toxic remote jobs and Orwellian tactics they use to keep you in line and productive, then you'll want to download our Make Money from Anywhere guide right below this video. In this guide, we'll share the same tactics and strategies that this client used to leave her toxic remote job in just 12 weeks after creating her own business and high-ticket offer and finding new clients for the offer. These skills gave her the confidence to leave that toxic job situation and do what she always wanted to do, start her own business so that she could spend more time with her kids. Plus, they will help you make money from anywhere in the world, which if you're watching this channel, you probably want to do yourself.
Well, you sent out a very interesting press release recently that I thought we should ask you about. And it's the concept of bossware, which strikes me as a way in which bosses can spy, maybe that's too strong a word, but you tell me, on employees working from home. What is that all about?
Yeah, so I think what you're seeing are companies, large and small, that are trying to get a better handle on people working from home, of people that might be taking advantage of working from home. Some
Let me translate what that means. So, companies are trying to mitigate those people that are taking advantage of working from home. So let's talk about this concept for a second and look at what the positives and negatives are for, I guess, both the employees and the employers here of this surveillance software that they're calling here bossware, which is essentially what it is. It's just really spyware that these employers are knowingly putting onto your computer. Typically, they do have to at least disclose that they're doing that. But what's going on with remote work? Well, to this guy's point, yes, there are some employees that are getting remote jobs, sometimes even multiple remote jobs, and they're, as he says, taking advantage of that opportunity to work from home. So maybe they're not really working most of the time. Maybe they're working, like I said, multiple jobs. I've heard about that in the past for sure, where you're getting 1, 2, maybe even 3 remote jobs and working them essentially simultaneously. That's probably a no-no. If you are getting a job, you're expected that you're going to show up and be there a certain portion of your day, which is the majority of your day. The challenge with that, of course, for people that are really productive is that you can probably get done what they're asking you to do in a lot less than 8 hours, because a lot of these jobs are geared towards kind of the bare minimum. So a big part of the role of a job is you're just kind of filling that seat, right? And if you were working in an office, for the most part, you've got some autonomy. Sure, your boss can kind of look over your shoulder, make sure you're working on what you're supposed to be working. But if you're showing up to the office, you're getting what you need to get done. They're not really hassling you too much about, if you took an extra 5 minute cigar or cigarette break, or you went to the bathroom too many times or whatever. What's going on with this software, though, with these remote workers is now they're literally, if they're not already in your job, they probably will very soon. And in many jobs, they've already been doing this for months or years. They're tracking every single keystroke you make on your computer. They're tracking every single minute you spend in any single application window. That means if you had this idea that, hey, maybe you're going to work a remote job, but try to build something on the side during work hours, even if it just means watching a 20 or 30-minute training video or doing something else, well, you may have been able to do that before, but now they're going to much lessen your chances of being able to get away with that. without losing the job. But ultimately, this is all about control, and you're going to see why a little bit further on in this video and how deep this rabbit hole of control actually goes.
Excel from home, and others, you'd be on Zoom calls and you could see someone's in their car or in their backyard, or so they're applying these tactics really to just the people that are working from home. You're not seeing it all for people in the office.
Now, I want to add another caveat here, which is that the workers that this affects the most, and I've talked about this before in other videos that we've done on this channel about remote work and how the trends are going, and how if you really want freedom, you need to build your own thing sooner rather than later. But this ultimately affects the successful, smart, productive employees the most, because those people may not need the same amount of time to get a given task done. And if they want to go walk their dog, or take a Zoom call on the road, what's the big deal? If you're getting the stuff done, get the stuff done and move on with your life. If I were working with, let's say, employees, and I knew, hey, I've got a really productive A player on my team, and he likes to take 15-minute walks every couple hours during the day and get some exercise and go outside and get some sunlight and stretch. I'm not going to penalize him for that. That's absolutely ridiculous. So this affects the B and the C players more than anybody. And you're going to find, just like the client that I mentioned at the beginning of this video, who we helped get out of one of these toxic remote jobs that were monitoring all of her behavior, you're going to find that if you are a superstar player, if you're really good at what you do, this is going to frustrate you the most, because now you're essentially being micromanaged to an extent that you've never even been micromanaged before at your remote job or even in the office before that.
Well, what exactly is this? How do you check up on people working from home? What is bossware?
Yeah, so it takes a number of different forms. From it could be as simple as your VPN tracking your keystrokes on your computer, to always having the Zoom light on your camera, so if someone can pop in and see whether you're on the screen or not, or off walking your dog or something, to the one that we got quite a kick.
Oh, this one's really a doozy.
Out of is one company's using a lightweight pillow that you have to sit on that tracks your weight, and it's stationed between that and the camera of your laptop or computer, so they'll know if you're sitting in front of your desk or not.
How little does a company have to value you as an autonomous being and as a person that they're literally sticking an electronic pillow under your ass to make sure that you're at your desk, and you've got the camera light above you on every second of the day, so that they know if you walked away for 5 or 10 minutes. Now, this is going to make just living and having a remote job period very frustrating, invasive. Again, it's back to the Orwellian 1984 stuff. They're tracking every breath you take, every time you're at your chair and not at your chair. God forbid you try to go and work, let's say, from another country for a while. Now they're getting really serious about, like he said, your VPN, seeing if you're using a VPN, tracking your IP address, tracking every keystroke you're making. And by the way, most of these companies are not handing out corporate computers for you to be using either for these remote jobs. A lot of this is software that you're installing on your own personal computer. So you've got your computer, you might have, family pictures, you might have other stuff you're working on for different businesses. Who's to say that they can't track those things as well? I'm not saying that that's what's going on right now today, but it's a very, very slippery slope. And if, let's say, you accidentally forget to log off from this bossware software that's on your computer at the end of the workday, and you're working on some stuff that maybe expresses political views that your employer isn't going to agree with, or maybe you're out looking for another job on the side, whether it's during work hours or even off work hours, which should not be a problem. You're allowed to do whatever the hell you want on your own computer in your own personal time. But let's say you slip up, you don't click the log off button, you're searching for a job. Well, great. You've given them another excuse to quickly fire you because they can tell you're not committed. There's so many things that's wrong with this. And I think more than anything, if you look at just human psychology, you're essentially training people to be expected to be constantly surveilled and monitored at any given point in time. So people are going to be conditioned to this now, and they're not going to get anywhere nearly as much work done unless they think that somebody's constantly looking at them. So how is this going to decrease their productivity in other jobs, in their own business? How is this going to help people actually become more productive or more autonomous? They're just micromanaging every single detail. And really, we talk about this as well, like with the Amazon layoffs. It's one of the big things is, and this is what a commenter mentioned specifically on that video. So if you want to check out that video that we did about Amazon requiring people to go back into the office, definitely check it out. But one of the commenters said, like, well, the real issue here is they're trying to get people to quit because they're realizing that they're being so micromanaged that it's just ridiculous, and they'll either come back into the office and quit. A certain percentage don't want to come back into the office, so the more they push people, the more people will quit, and it's essentially like a forced layoff. Without Amazon or any of these other big tech companies having to be public about a layoff, they're saying, well, come back into the office or you lose your job. And so essentially people are electing to quit instead of coming back into the office. It's a very sneaky tactic also to push people to the point of, screw this, I'm out. I think that's a big part of what's going on here as they're cracking down on these remote workers.
Wow. I mean, that is totally unusual to me. So,
Right.
frankly, I would be sitting on a pillow and they could tell whether I was actually sitting at a desk or wandering
Exactly.
around. Wow. Wow. Now, is this legal in the United States to do this?
It is. It's completely legal in the US because it's during your work hours. So it only applies during your business hours. No different than if you have a company cell phone, they can have Find My Phone in case you lose your phone. But with Find My Phone, they could see anywhere you are with your cell phone. Same thing with a company car. So there's talk of
So now here they're talking about also tracking your location. So if you've got, let's say, a company phone, and this is like you said, been in existence for a while, where if you've got a company phone, you've got a company car, they can be GPS tracking it. So now imagine trying to like do this entrepreneur expat thing sort of under the radar and not not tell your boss that you're going to Mexico, you're going to Colombia, you're going to Thailand for a few weeks, and working from there. And then all of a sudden they find out where you are, because not only can they track your IPs, which can be easily masked, but now they're also tracking the GPS coordinates of your phone. Well, it's getting harder and harder to do what you're trying to do, which is be truly autonomous, live and work anywhere. It's getting more and more difficult, and the trend is just going to keep going this way.
the Congress doing some type of legislation, but I don't know how far it's actually going to get. And it only applies during work hours and for people that are working remote.
Yeah, they're talking about legislation here and how, well, some people don't really like this idea, and Congress has talked about maybe creating restrictions. They're not going to do that. Why? Because there's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of money in the tax dollars that they get of all these offices that are now going to be filled again. And there's a lot of economic detriment that was occurring when all of these offices in San Francisco and LA and New York and Miami and all these major cities were almost completely empty. It also does hurt industries that are adjacent to the people working in those offices, like the laundry care businesses and the food service businesses and all these other things that are connected with people being in person in an office. So the government is making money directly and indirectly from these companies, and they make more money when these people are in the offices because of all of that tax on real estate and all these other things that are related to people being in person. So the likelihood of you being saved by essentially the same thing that's really controlling you here, the big brother, if you will, or the government making restrictions on this or regulations, it's pretty damn low.
Well, I understand, I think, from your press release on this very interesting subject, that there are 4 states that at least require companies to notify the employee that they're doing this.
Right.
I assume most employees who work from home may have no idea that they're being monitored.
Well, and some are definitely they companies do let you know that and they make the statement, if you come to the office, this is what applies. If you work from home, you're going to be required to have your green light on Zoom that you're available anytime. Or yeah, obviously the pillow you're going to be issued a pillow, and they're keying in your body weight and all of that. So the state's concern is that, are you tracking the data, and what are you doing with that data? So right now the states are saying, as long as you're not selling that data to third parties, you can do that. I think you'll see more states though say you have to let the employees know if you are tracking them.
Yeah, which, I mean, here's the thing. If an employer says, hey, we're going to install software on your computer and we're going to track what you're doing during work hours, and you have to do it or you're fired, well, that's not really much of a choice. And now that more and more companies are using technology like this, it's kind of like darned if you do, darned if you don't, because you don't really have choice in the matter. And on top of that, more of these companies are also requiring that you come back into the office anyway, like we've talked about before on this channel. So I just want to make it clear, this whole idea that you can get this cushy remote job where people aren't really looking over your shoulder, it's a thing of the past.
Well, you did note that there was federal legislation proposed. I think it's called the Stop Spying Bosses Act. I love that name. But as you point out, it hasn't gone anywhere in Congress, and we're about to elect a brand new Congress, so who knows what will happen next year. But this is certainly a fascinating subject, and I want to thank you, Rob, for bringing it to our attention.
So there you have it. That's what's going on with remote jobs today. What do you think about what's happening with this surveillance software and how these companies are cracking down more and more on their remote employees? Let us know below in the comments what your thoughts are on this. And I'll tell you, in summary, my thoughts are, it's never been a better time than now to go and start and build your own thing. Whether that's consulting for other businesses and working with corporations that are going to pay you a lot more money and give you a lot more freedom than working for one employer as an employee, or even better, creating a leveraged offer that you're selling into the marketplace, just like Amanda and myself are doing in our business. You really want to consider now more than ever that now is the time. If you were waiting for a sign that you needed to actually go off on your own and start your own business, well, this is the sign. You're going to thank me later when you see in the next 12 to 24 months that it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and there aren't even any more jobs remote to be had at all in that time. So let us know what you think in the comments about everything that's going on here. Let us know if you've considered starting your own business or if you've already started your own business, and if that business allows you to be an expat and live in other countries. And don't forget to download the Make Money from Anywhere guide right below this video, because that's going to talk about all of the different skills that you need to make money remotely and to start your own business. I'm Justin Keltner. It was a pleasure having you along the journey in this video, and we're going to see you again very soon.